What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GG Gaming. I'm your host, Andrew. Today is Sunday, July 5th, and with me is my co-host today, PapaGenos.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
Right. So, before we get started, I have a coffee and a water with me. I was going to mute it anytime I was going to take a drink, so it didn't record it. But for some strange, glitched out reason, whenever my mouse hovers over the mute button, PapaGenos can't hear me anymore.
We have some weird technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
Nothing I can do if I gotta take a sip of water. I'm gonna try to move away from the mic a bit. So try to do it good. But anyway, so we'll jump into it. PapaGenos, what have you been up to since we last spoke? Podcast-wise, that's probably been months.
Yeah, probably a couple months ago. I think it was maybe March, I feel like, was the last time we did something. So yeah, quite a lot has happened in the gaming world and with myself and everything. Obviously doing the quarantine thing like everybody else, which has had quite a lot of time to do gaming stuff. And I think Animal Crossing has probably been the main game I've been playing over this time frame.
Still playing?
Still playing? Yes, I'm still playing it. They just came out with you can get like a wetsuit and you can go in the water now. So that's been pretty cool. About that. Yep. So I just got that. Played around with that yesterday. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. So I don't think we got your reaction during, or at least on the podcast, we haven't gotten your reaction to the Pokemon Direct.
Right.
So I do want to talk about that before the obvious big stuff that is Smash, because so much has been going on with that. Before I jump into that, I just want to say what I was doing was playing. I started picking up Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key again, because someone shout out to, and I don't know if this is the correct username or if there's a string of numbers or not, but it was like KH Girl or something like that, or Sora Nickfu on YouTube. Mm-hmm. She was giving me some tips on metal setups to beat some missions or quests, or whatever they call them. Kingdom Hearts added a new mobile game called Dark Road, which follows Xehanort when he's younger. It works a lot differently. There's like this card system, and unlike Unchained Key, you can't choose the story quest. It's like you're there and you go. Like you can't go back and choose another quest. Not that I know of. And the way to progress seems very repetitive. So I don't know if they're trying to make this the next big Kingdom Hearts mobile game, because Unchained Key, or Union Cross rather, is supposedly coming to a close story-wise. So I don't know what they're planning, but I'm getting back into Kingdom Hearts because the story is getting really good. So
nice, yeah. I know the was it the like Melody game for Switch? I heard that can have some story significance, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know what or where it's going to take place. I have a well, I don't want to say theory or not, but I'm wondering if it has to do with Data Sora from Recoded, and if he's going to somehow go through all of the events that Sora went through, and maybe it's somehow going to connect into like figuring out where Sora could be by maybe like getting his thoughts on like, like if you were Sora, where would you go, kind of thing, I'm wondering.
It is called Melody of Memory, right? So yeah. Memory would kind of fit that idea.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was Chain of Memories, and the title actually was significant in that game because the heart actually has a chain of memories, like they're connected.
Right.
And Naminé had the power to like unchain them and like chain them to other memories, or like mess with your memories. So Melody of Memory, I'm wondering if there's any musical significance to it other than it's a music game, like
like the game, if it goes beyond the gameplay and actually has like a reason to have a musical element in there.
I mean, the big thing that comes to mind is the character Demix, who uses the guitar, sitar kind of thing. And people are suspecting that he could have some connection to the Master of Masters because of his personality, and we don't know exactly who he is. And he's got a musical instrument, and the acronym for Melody of Memories is MOM, like Master of Masters. So,
true.
I wonder if Demix is going to play a big role, or I don't know. So, like, I realize that I get really into Kingdom Hearts when there's so many more, like, when there's a lot of mystery around it. And I think when I played and beat Kingdom Hearts 3, I felt like I enjoyed that game a lot, but I felt like I kind of fell out of Kingdom Hearts for a bit. And I think the reason why is because a lot of, I don't think necessarily all of, but a lot of the questions to things got answered and resolved. So I was like, oh, what is there to think about now?
Right.
And now that a lot of more mysteries are finally popping up, especially with like the backstory being not revolved, shown, I guess, whatever. Revealed is the word I was looking for. Now that the backstory is being revealed in the 2 mobile games, there's like, I'm getting back into that idea of like, oh, what's going to happen, or what did happen, what's the connection. And I think that was one of the big things that got me into Kingdom Hearts, was that, and the theorizing, like, who could this be, or who is that, and how is this related to that. So
yeah, I mean, I always like games that have mysteries, or obviously I do like Smash theory for characters and stuff. Things like that, when you're uncertain about something, but you can try to put the pieces together. It does keep your attention, like, definitely. It gets you, excited about a game for sure. Yeah.
So when, like, most of that stuff was solved by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, I mean, given there's still a lot of open questions pertaining to other things, but a lot of, like, the first major arc came to its conclusion, so a lot of things did wrap up, and I guess it was that feeling of, oh, so now what? Right. Now what is there to think about aside from these few things that are now being brought up? And now there's a lot more things, so I'm like, oh, I'm getting really back into it again.
Nice.
So, well, but enough about my love for Kingdom Hearts. What did you think of the Pokemon Direct, or both of them?
Yeah, Pokemon Direct, I mean, the thing that got me the most excited, that I think got most people most excited, was Pokemon Snap, or new Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Snap 2, whatever we're calling it. That had me really shocked and very excited. I think right before, like, the trailer dropped, I was just like, I had a live stream reaction going for it, and I was talking to chat, and I was basically saying, like, what crazy things would I love to get revealed, and I threw out there, Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap would be great, and that's exactly what we got. So I was absolutely shocked that happened. That was a total guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited for that. It's something I've wanted for a long time. Pokemon Snap was one of those, old school Pokemon games that I had a lot of fun with, but it's a pretty short game. There's not a whole lot to it, but it felt like something, that really should have a sequel. I felt like the Wii U was like perfect for it. So, having the Switch also with like a handheld tablet thing, is probably going to work just as well. So it's something I've been waiting for, or hoping the Pokemon Company would do. I mean, even the idea of Pokemon Snap, like, if you go back before Pokemon was ever what it is, capturing monsters and stuff like that, I could totally see, like, creating the game and being like, there's gonna be all these monsters and stuff, and like, oh, do you catch them and battle them? It's like, no, how about you're like a photographer and you go and take pictures of them? Okay, yeah, that works too. Like, the Pokemon world Pokemon Snap could have been the main Pokemon thing, the concept or whatever. I feel like, because it's just as interesting to me to go and just watch these creatures in the wild and see what they're doing and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited for Pokemon Snap. That's a whole aspect of Pokemon I've wanted them to explore more.
Even more so is the fact that there's like so many things they could include now, or add into it. I've heard people say, and this might have been Game Explained, but I could be wrong, but I remember hearing somebody wondering if there's no track this time, and like maybe you can go where you want. I feel like that might be a little too much, like, because Pokemon Snap was always like, take whatever pictures you can on this track, and so taking the track away kind of, I don't know, like, can you just stand around?
A lot of it too is like, it's like the timing, like, that this Pokemon comes out here, and sometimes you do something and then later on this happens, so it is kind of about going through that same scenario, and changing things. at the right time and everything. I wouldn't mind if, like, I know in the first one, like, you didn't have to hit the Moltres egg off the track and you could, like, stop there for a while. Maybe if you're able to stop, like, maybe you're on the track but you're able to stop at any point, or if there's, like, multiple paths or something. I would love to see them do other things with it, but I do think it's still kind of like, it's sort of like Star Fox is like, you know, it's like a rail shooter, like you're going for it the whole time. I feel like getting rid of the track would maybe change things a little too much, but doing things with the track, either being able to stop or have alternate paths or something, I think that would be interesting.
I'm curious if they would have the fact that there's at least in the first Pokemon Snap, there was like the scenarios of what Pokemon did and everything was always the same every time you played it. I'm wondering if they would have a list of different scenarios that could randomly happen, like, oh, which Pokemon is gonna appear here, instead of saying, oh, this is where Pikachu shows up. Maybe you can be like, oh, which of these which of these Pokemon that usually show up is gonna show up.
That would be really cool.
Add a little bit of random to it, like you can say, oh, instead of like Scyther appearing in the grass, you'd be like, you're walking through a patch of grass and like, oh, sometimes it's Scyther, or sometimes it's Pinsir, or sometimes it's this Pokemon, or sometimes this happens, like to have a bunch of different random elements happening throughout the course as opposed to the same scripted sequence would be really awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That would be so cool. And it would be more like the mainline games where, like, you're in the tall grass and it's like, rarely this Pokemon appears.
Right.
But, like, you can get them. And that would be it would have a lot of replay value if they added that. It would also probably feel more like, not like I'm going through the same, because since the scenarios are exactly the same in the first one every time, and I understand the limitations of doing that, it didn't really feel like I'm visiting this area to see what's out at that time or whatever. It felt more like I'm replaying the same exact day, like a Groundhog Day type thing, honestly. But man, what if they put in, like, nowadays I have Animal Crossing on my mind because I'm playing it so much, but like if I play at night, it's at night there, or Mario Maker has the day and night for the levels. Maybe I can choose.
Right.
I was going to
say time of the day.
Yeah, or just different, like you said, it's just random every time I go in, or maybe what time it actually is, in real life is what time it is in there, or just even what time of the year it is could change the seasons. Like, there's a lot they could do.
Yeah, like during the winter, there could maybe be more snow in like a plains area.
Right, and it would change what Pokemon are there.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I think we're giving them too much credit, but that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm happy.
They don't do that. They don't do that in the mainline game, so why would they do?
Well, I will say we were kind of complaining about the look of the mainline games, and we have Bandai Namco working on this one, and it looks a lot prettier than the mainline games. So maybe this one will blow the mainline games out of the water with some of the things it does. We'll have to wait and see.
And at this point, there's so many Pokemon, because at the time it was just 151 that they had, and they didn't even use them all. But with a more advanced system, like more advanced hardware, and that, what are we at? Almost 1,000 Pokemon. I
think like 9. It's like 800 something, so close to 900.
Yeah, either the 8 or 900s. I hope that they don't cut out like more than half of that.
I could see it happening, but honestly, with the look of this game and what it is, it's it's Pokemon Snap. It's not quite the same as a mainline Pokemon game where I want if this is the team I like, or this is the Pokemon I really like. I want to be able to capture them. I want to be able to collect them. Got to catch them all that. Yeah. Pokemon Snap's definitely a little different. I could forgive, like, if it's like, okay, there's 5 or 10 areas you go to and you take pictures of Pokemon. If those areas, that particular island I'm going to doesn't have every single Pokemon that they have out, I can be more forgiving of that. It feels more realistic anyway. That not all of them would be there where we're headed. But yeah, it's different than the mainline games having all the Pokemon, in my opinion. But hopefully they'll have a lot of them. I do think that there's like you said, the very first one only had the first 151. So now we have so many more to show up in this game. I'm excited to see who they do pull from, which games and which Pokemon show up.
Yeah. There was like a teleporting aspect to the first game, right? Would they, like, from Oak's lab, he would teleport you to a spot on the island?
Yeah, that's what it looked like always.
I think
it would materialize and then you go through.
So why can't you be teleported to anywhere in the world?
True. They could do something different with like the map. It doesn't have to be the single island or something.
Right.
But even still, I guess what I'm getting at is just the areas you go to don't have to hold all the Pokemon. The mainline games, I feel the same way. Like I'm not saying like Galar needs to have every single Pokemon in it now, but that I should be able to transfer them to the game was really more of the complaint.
But what I would like, which I don't know if they would do, but instead of being on an island with certain track areas, why not teleport to certain areas from the different mainline games?
That would be cool.
Like this is the mountain in Sinnoh, or like this is the beach area in Alola, like different.
It would be great to see those areas in, like, I mean, this game looks better than I think any Pokemon game we've ever seen.
Yes.
And it would be awesome to see areas we've gone to, in the overhead 2D Pokemon games, or even the more recent ones, but just in, make it really look like the Pokemon anime world, like you're actually in there. That would be awesome, yeah.
And that would make for some
a more established just world of Pokemon. Again, this one came out when it was just 151, so making up some island to go to worked. But now that we have a more established world, it would be fun to visit those areas.
Exactly. And there's so many, like, quote-unquote final areas that we can use, whether it's ultra space, and like you take pictures of some of the
oh, that would be cool.
And like if you do a certain thing, you can get like the Ultra Necrozma to appear and take a picture of him in his like super form or something.
That is a cool idea.
I doubt this, but I would love to see trainers battling sometimes too.
Oh, that would be cool.
A picture of battles.
Yeah, if you could see that going on the side, or even if you went through like a neighborhood, like if one of them, it wasn't out in the wild, it was like you're going through like a town or something. I do remember the final area in the first game was like you're just in space and it's just Mew. But I like your idea. Your idea would be really cool.
Yeah, like we have so much more environments and lore and things like that for every Pokemon, I believe, at this point. So like to use an already existing or established area, like the Distortion world could be like one of the final areas, like I said, Ultra Space, and some great areas would be some classic areas like Viridian Forest. Like maybe you start, like when you start, or maybe at least at some point in the track, you can see, like maybe towards the beginning, you're on the outskirts of Pallet Town, and then like towards the end of the track, you're on like the outskirts of Viridian City.
That would be so cool. I would love
maybe you can catch a glimpse of like Giovanni walking out of the gym or something. Like very little things that if you take a picture of, it's like a lot of points or something, like some little hidden Easter egg would be amazing.
If you really dig into the Pokemon lore for this one, I wasn't thinking about it from that aspect, but yeah, I mean, again, this is like the prettiest like Pokemon game I think we've ever seen. So yeah, I would love to see, and it would also be an easy way to do a lot of things that I think Pokemon fans have wanted to see. I think we've all wanted to see fully rendered 3D versions of like you said, like Viridian Forest, or the mountain in Sinnoh, or anywhere from the Pokemon games. It would be great to actually get that, but in this game, which would be easier, I think, to implement because it's a Pokemon Snap game. You're on a track. You can't, you're not totally interacting with everything. It's all about them implementing, making it look, the graphics and making it look good in the background or whatever. So way easier to kind of throw us a bone with all that stuff without having to come up with a whole story around it and all this interaction and stuff. It would
and even those things, like I said, like you can, if you're like you stop towards the outskirts of Viridian City and like you can catch a glimpse of Giovanni maybe leaving the gym, maybe that would only happen at night, and maybe it would only happen sometimes, like
right.
It's not going to happen every time. So it's like if you snap a picture of it, or maybe if you meet certain conditions, like snap a really good picture of a Rhydon or something, it would trigger Giovanni coming out of the gym for you to take a picture of, and like he's like covering his face with his hat and walking away, like because he's leaving the gym behind or something.
Right.
Like just random things like that.
You are like my imagination is bubbling here. This is not what I was thinking about this game. You've got me. You got the wheels turning.
And none of this is gonna happen.
Right. So I'm
now we're expecting too much.
Expecting too much, but even just something little like if I hit this, like let's say I hit Metapod out of a tree or something, and it evolves into Butterfree, and it flies off. And then towards the later end of the track, a trainer comes out and catches the Butterfree.
Right.
Like, I wasn't even thinking about the human aspect of it, or it being in actual places from the games. But yeah, stuff like that. There's so much they could do with this game if they they kind of do it.
The shiny Butterfree, like the pink one. Maybe if you knock the Metapod out of the tree, it turns into Butterfree. Then later at the end of the track, you see it, and it meets a pink Butterfree, so the pink one comes out of the trees, and that's how you get like a picture of, different things you do will make other things happen throughout the track, which I know the first Snap kind of did that, but like really expanding on that would be amazing. And it's not going to happen, but it'd be amazing. I mean, we're lucky enough we got a new Pokemon Snap.
Right. I mean, there's so much they could do here with this one, though, and like the shiny Pokemon has me thinking. I mean, you were talking before about like, there's some tall grass, and like sometimes when you're playing it's Scyther, but there's a rare chance it's Pinsir. What if it's a rare chance it's a shiny Scyther or something? What if all the Pokemon have a rare chance of being shiny? Like, that would be great to have in this game.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you could have a picture of like, dude, I got a picture of a shiny Rhydon. I actually got one. Like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, it'd be so awesome. And there's like we said, there's so many areas throughout all the main games at this point.
Right.
Like even going on the bridge, crossing the wild area, like you see so many random Pokemon.
Yeah.
Or like even a track in the wild area that goes around the wild area.
Yeah, they could do something like that. I mean, they could go to all these cool places from the actual games, and that'd be really exciting. I'd be totally down for that.
It's probably just going to be an island, and
probably. Even if it is just that, I'm still excited for it, and I really like the two ideas I hope that do actually show up. One is that it's not going to be the same every time, whether or not that's day and night cycle with real life, seasons, or just randomness every time you play it. Maybe the Pokemon are, it's a little different who shows up every time. Maybe there's shinies sometimes. I hope that happens, and I do hope there is some, even if it's not actual areas from the game, I hope there is some interaction with like a Pokemon universe, such as trainers catching Pokemon, or you see like the SS Anne in the background if it is an island. Just
that'd be so cool.
Yeah, little nods to things would be really cool. I would enjoy that.
If you hit Avalog with a Pester Ball, he runs away, and the SS Anne crashes into him and sinks.
Titanic.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about Pokemon Snap here. That's definitely the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
But there were some other stuff in. It was a weird cut up direct into two,
Pokemon
different.
Smile.
Yeah, Pokemon Smile.
Yeah. Well, actually, I gotta give them credit for making a free game with no advertisements, just to help kids brush their teeth. Like,
true.
That's pretty respectable.
Definitely. A friend of mine actually has a little boy, and he sent me a picture of him, like, brushing his teeth with it. So I guess it works.
Yeah, that's cool.
But the other big one,
MOBA. Well, there was the Cafe Mix.
Cafe.
I think it's out. I haven't played it, but
I haven't tried it either.
Yeah.
And then there was the MOBA one with
Unite,
which is the Tencent, the Chinese company that owns Riot Games, or owns a large stock of Riot Games, whatever it is, making Pokemon MOBA.
It's called Unite.
Yeah, Pokemon Unite. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's the potential for it to be really fun, and there's the potential for it to be not fun. So we just got to see. I'm not really into MOBAs, but this could be like one that I would be interested because it's Pokemon, and it really just depends on the kind of content in it and how repetitive or not repetitive it could be,
Yeah, so, no, I totally agree.
I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. Not necessarily looking forward to get my hands on it and playing it. More so, I want to see more and like, what is this? And if it starts to look more enticing, I'd probably be like, yeah, I can't wait for this. But
right.
Look more boring, then I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, MOBA games have never pulled me in. I have some friends who like League of Legends and follow it and stuff, but it's never pulled me in. But like you said, Pokemon is something I love. So MOBA with a Pokemon skin, it could pull me in. It's possible. I'm gonna wait and see what happens with it. I'll probably let other people be the guinea pigs for it and see which Pokemon are playable.
I mean, if it's free, you can try. Like, if it's free, I'm probably just gonna try it out myself. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a little wary of it just because I know mobile games have a lot of they get some bad press and stuff. Some people get kind of like addicted to playing them and stuff. So I'm gonna wait and see what it looks like. I think have other people test it out. I'll see how big it gets, how exciting it gets, and go from there. See what it looks like. Right. First, just because that style game has never been something I've been into, but I do like Pokemon. So Pokemon having a whole new genre it's entering. We'll see what happens with it.
Well, everybody always wanted a what's it called? An open world Pokemon game. This could be like, I know a MOBA is different, but the playing online with other people could be the first step towards something more open world. So if you look at it in that way, it's testing to see. It's like it's a separate game, but it's somewhat a beta of the idea of playing Pokemon with other people. And I mean, Sword and Shield already do that, but you don't really interact in real time with the other.
This would be closer to, like you're saying, I mean, obviously it's not an MMORPG, it's a
right
thing, but it has that element of live online Pokemon with other people around the world.
Right.
So if that community gets built up with this game and then leads to other things where they want to tap into that community more so than, I don't know, like Pokemon's always been like a handheld game, so it already has the whole handheld community on board with Pokemon. If this gets the online gaming community, into Pokemon, and they see an exciting venture with that group, it could lead to good things. So maybe worth supporting it just for that aspect alone, because I've wanted an online Pokemon experience for a while.
Yeah. So when something comes out that people aren't too into, sometimes you got to think, like, instead of what is this, or you should think, what could this lead to? And in this instance, that's what it is. I know, myself included, with Sword and Shield, there was a lot of what is this in terms of what it was lacking. But I suppose you can think of it as a step. I mean, even though they claim that we're still not going to get all the Pokemon, but I mean, you can still look at Sword and Shield in the same vein of what could this turn into, like for next gen. Maybe they can build off of that, and we'll get even more beautiful, looking.
Right. I mean, Sword and Shield also had like the DLC is happening and stuff like that, and I always look at like for Smash. Obviously, I always have Smash in my mind.
Which DLC we'll talk about. We will talk about.
But the DLC characters, like, sometimes, people, I don't really like this character. I don't know if I'm going to buy the whole pass. But they're the same people I'll talk to, and they'll be like, I really hope we get a third pass. And I'm like, well, dude, buy the characters you don't like. Like, get the full pass. Like, that's how you're going to promote. Like, if you, put your voice out there with your wallet. And obviously, I'm not trying to say just, buy a bunch of crap from some company just to support the company and capitalism. But, it is true. If Smash is going to continue, if we're going to get more fighter passes or something, the way that's going to happen is from people buying the characters. So if there's a character you want and they're not in yet, the way to keep that hope alive is to buy the characters that are in.
I bet more people are buying it than we think.
I think so too. I think so too.
I mean, even the completionist aspect, and not everybody's like that, but I am, especially because I like to think, if I want to play or try out this character, I want to have it, or just like if someone comes over, which during this whole quarantine that doesn't happen anymore, but the idea of like using my game for like a group get together, it's like, I have everything, so you could pick whatever character you want,
Exactly. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like, I will buy characters that I probably rarely touch in the game, but I'll do it because I want to have the full roster, and especially like you said, if I have friends over and like, I play that character, like, of course I want that character for that person in my game. I don't want to I didn't download that one. Like,
because I know what it's like on the other side. I've been to a friend's house who got Smash for Wii U back when that was thing, and I was using Mewtwo a lot, and they had all the characters from the base game, but they didn't have the DLC, and I'm just like, I can't use my character. So
I went to a Smash tournament somewhat recently. It was a few months ago. I think it was probably back in like January-ish, but they only had the base game stuff, and like I've been playing a lot of Banjo, and I was like, I want to play Banjo.
So I don't want that feeling to happen, especially if it's a game that I'm going to be playing. Like even Dragon Ball FighterZ, I haven't really been playing it lately, but it's a game that I want to play with people who are also at my piss poor level of skill. So I always get all the new characters, because in that rare scenario where I'm going to pick it up and play with a friend, I want to be able to choose whoever I want, you know?
Right.
Like Ultra Instinct Goku just came out. I haven't tried him yet, but I mean, when I play with someone, I'm going to want to try him out, you know? So,
right. So,
maybe that's a first world problem. I'm going to buy these.
Definitely. Obviously, if somebody can't afford the DLC for some game, or they don't really want the, I support that, you know, whatever. But I do think if you have the extra cash, if it's literally just I don't really like that guy or something, you know, mindset, and you still want more characters to come for some game, or you like that game, you want whatever, I think supporting the game as best you can, or just having it for friends and other people is kind of the right move.
And I also have that same mentality that you mentioned earlier when you said, you know, if you want them to come out with more content, support what they did come out with.
Right.
And if it's not too terribly expensive, or at least for, you know, per each person, if it's within your budget to be able to be like, oh, I'm going to download this because I want to support this, then you should totally do it. And that's what I do for games where I want to see more content from, you know, I want to support it.
Exactly.
Again, based on the price and stuff, because I went back to Fire Emblem Echoes, I believe, on the 3DS, because I wanted to see, and I hadn't played it in a long time, and I just wanted to see what DLC had come out. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of DLC here, but I haven't been playing this game. And so I went to, like, I was going to maybe purchase it to have, and maybe chip away at it when I have time. And it was like a lot of money to buy all the scenarios, and I was like, I'm not going to do this, especially if I'm not going to play it right now.
Right.
Which kind of hurts, because I think to myself, you know, if this eShop goes down and I didn't get the DLC, I will never have the complete version of this game. But this is a little too expensive. I mean, we're not talking about a $20 fighter pass. We're talking about $30 to $50 worth of extra story content that I'm not going to play, you know?
Right.
So, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get it and play it, but I really was like, it hurt me to see that price, and I was like, I just wanted to have it to put on my game to maybe play one day. And
that's
I'm like,
one of the tough things with DLC just in general, like is that, you know, when you buy if you're in the here and now, or into the game at the time, you buy the game, DLC comes out, you buy the DLC over time, you know, you have the whole thing, and it's a slow process. But it is a little worse when a lot of time has gone by and you buy a game and it's like, oh, there's DLC for this, and you look at the price tag of DLC after so many years and it's built up. It's more daunting to buy it all, to feel like you have the full game. So I do hope, just for the future, just because I'm someone who, I collect physical games. I like playing, you know, old games from 20 plus years ago, you know, that don't have DLC, but obviously 10 years is going to go by and I'm going to be buying games that have DLC. I do hope a lot of, like, deluxe versions for things continue to come out, you know, that has all the DLC incorporated in. That tends to happen for games, but not all games. That is going to be a weird thing with gaming, again, in like a decade from now, to look back on the era of DLC and see, like, can I buy this game and even play all of it? Like, I don't know, it's gonna be weird.
Imagine the Nintendo 3DS Classic.
Right.
That'd be pretty cool.
Comes out. But yeah, it has all the 3DS games you love, and they have all the DLC you wanted.
Yeah, but it probably won't.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, I don't remember what. I was gonna say, it's not, I mean, I don't want to say that it's up to the developers to do this, because they're not obligated to, but I feel like they should, at the end of DLC, after some time at least, release a bundle. You know, because if especially if, and I don't claim to know if people are still buying it or not, but if people start to stop buying it, then it's not going to hurt you too much to say, oh, let's just put this all in a bundle that's cheaper, because it'll either, you know, some new person will see it and get it, and then, hey, you got more money, and they're more likely to get it than a whole bunch of random scenarios. That's just what I'm thinking. But maybe there's more, you know, maybe people have looked into that and maybe it's not as viable monetarily. I don't know. I think
that's a great idea.
But I would think it's a good idea. especially for a game that is no longer new, like it's an old game.
Right.
And maybe they can see some people are occasionally buying it or not, like especially if they're doing digital. I know physical people are going to get it from like third party, like maybe they'll buy it pre-owned or off of eBay or something like that. But if people are still buying a game that's old and it has a lot of DLC, I think it, and again, no obligation, but I think it would be a very good idea to release DLC bundles for people, you know.
I totally agree. I feel like like over time, like when people buy an older game that has DLC, if that DLC costs the same as it did when it first came out, and you're totally right, there's way less people downloading it, I'm sure 2, 3, 4 years after the fact, they should lower the price of it.
They'll
just
probably profit off of people buying bundled DLC, as opposed to like what I was saying. Like I saw a whole bunch of DLC for like upwards $50 of story content, and I'm like, I'm never gonna play this. But if I saw it in a bundle, you know, like
maybe do
it. Here's all the DLC for, I don't know, $25 or something.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I would have got that.
Right.
And they would have made that money.
Yeah. Plus, I think towards like I said before, like when you get a game and then some DLC comes out, you buy it, and then some more DLC comes out later and you buy it. It's more daunting when you see all of it. So if you bundled it all together, made it cheaper, you know, again, years down the line, way more likely I think people would click on it and be like, yeah, because people aren't going to be like, I bought this game and I want like some of the DLC. Like most people want the full game. Like that would be the reason to get the DLC. So they're either going to buy the base game and none of the DLC, or they're going to want all that DLC. And there's probably way less people downloading it at a certain point. And like I was saying before, when they come out with like deluxe versions of a game where they bundle all the DLC into it, that's like for physical games. But yeah, the DLC itself, they should probably find ways to. And I don't know, maybe some games have done this. I haven't seen it. I've never encountered it. Most of the games I buy DLC for, I have usually bought on release and then kept up with the DLC. But yeah, I definitely agree. That should be something. If they haven't done that, going forward, they should definitely do that. Because again, in like 10 years from now, if I go back and play some game and I want the DLC for it, you know, it should probably be pretty cheap.
Will it even be available?
Yeah.
And I can tell you from experience, both with Fire Emblem Echoes and also a game that I got because I want to play, but I haven't played it yet. But I want to eventually play it. It's called Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology. I want to play it. It sounded cool, and I saw it in the store, and I did a quick research on it. And I was like, oh, this game sounds cool. It sounds similar to Chrono Trigger in the time travel sense, where you're like going back and like doing stuff. And I'm like, that sounds right up my alley. I just haven't played it yet because there's always other games that I want to play, especially right now when I'm still going through all the Dragon Quest games. I'm up to 8.
Oh, nice. You were doing that like a while back. I didn't know if you kept up.
Yeah, still doing it. But you know, I popped Radiant Historia into the 3DS because I wanted to see if there was DLC for it. Especially because I remember reading something about the eShop going down in certain parts of the world, and I didn't know if that included us or not. So I just wanted to see what they had. And they did have some DLC. I think they were cheap and there wasn't a lot of it. But when you see DLC and you don't know what it is, that makes you wonder, like how important is this? Or, you know, this extra story content. And again, a bundle that said contains all these DLC, I would get that, you know?
Right. It's more likely I think I'd know,
because going into a game not knowing what it's even about and being like, oh, there's DLC for it. If I see a bundle that says comes with all DLC, I'd be like, okay, so this is what I'm gonna need with this, you know, as opposed to not even knowing. So
again, it's kind of like buying a deluxe version of a game physically. If you could get the game plus all the DLC bundled in, it's a little bit more or something. Way more likely, you know, I'd pull the trigger on that than if I buy the base game. I don't know if I'm gonna get that DLC or not later. If I have to buy the DLC in bits, it's like, am I going to get burned and buy one DLC and not really like it? But I would have liked the other one, but I never got a chance because I didn't like the first. You know, it's like, it would be way easier if you just buy it all in one swoop.
Right. Well, speaking of DLC, here's how I'm going to segue into Smash. Smash has bundles in form of the Fighter Pass, but they also have the random me costumes that are like, they're only like 75 cents each, so I get them. But I have to say, it's really annoying getting each one. It's like, here, put in my password. Yes, buy the specific amount. Here's I use PayPal, so I go to PayPal, log in, and it's like this long process just to buy one me costume. And then you can either continue shopping or like close it out. If you hit continue shopping, it just takes you back to the main part of the eShop. You can't go back to the like the list of DLC and check the next one. You have to go through the process. So you have to search for Super Smash Bros. In the eShop and scroll all the way down to the next costume you want. Then like put in your password and choose, like select funds. And it's just like this really long and annoying process. Like, please just give me costume bundle, or like Fighter Pass. Like when I got
Fighter Pass
like,
Plus, and you get everything.
Like, I would just take the extra $3 or whatever it costs. Like, I want these, but I don't want to work for them.
I totally agree. I remember buying, because I did like the Smash Wii U DLC. I did like as it came out. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I remember the 3DS Smash DLC, like it was after the fact, and I was like, oh yeah, I have Smash on 3DS. You know what? I want to get that. I want everything full, just because I'm that way. I love Smash. I want everything in Smash.
Exactly.
So I wanted to have it all on the 3DS, and I remember doing exactly what you just described, going to the eShop, and I had to buy like each character, and then there was separate stage DLC, and each me costume. Like I remember being like, I was sitting there for like a while, and I was like, man, I wish there was just like a buy all DLC button. Like,
and you can't even like, at least the PlayStation, and I don't have the newer Xboxes, so I don't know how they work, but at least on the PSN, you can add them to cart. But there's no cart in the eShop. Like I want to put them all in a cart and pay all at once. Where's my eShop cart, Nintendo?
Yes, please.
Where's the e-cart?
That'd be way easier.
Where's my
eShop? It actually kind of prevents me from like, I mean, I do it for Smash, but yeah, there's definitely some times where minor DLC, like me costume DLC in Smash, like I'm buying the ones I really like, and then there's like, it's like 3 more, and I don't even really want them. I just would want them for completion's sake.
It actually makes you not want to get the DLC because you have to put the work in just to select them. Just like I
said before, make a Fighter Pass Plus, and you get the Fighter Pass plus the me costumes, and if you guys do stage DLC or whatever extra stuff, just give me Fighter Pass Plus, and I will, whatever the price for that thing is, I'm going to be buying it. So like that would be a good idea.
I'm fine with even just me fight, like whatever the extra stuff is. In this case, it's the me costumes. I'm fine with. Like they put each costume out, okay, fine. But where's the option to get me costume bundle 6 and just get them all in one purchase?
Instead of if you get everything way after the fact, like if you haven't been keeping up with the me costumes, you'd have to go back to the ones that came out with Joker, and and you have like
to get each costume.
Right? Yeah, you have like 50 costumes to get right now, or 60 or something. It's like
I think you can. Can you go back and buy a Fighter's Pass and get all the characters and stages?
I believe so, because I when I bought Fighter Pass 2, I actually was one of the few times, I haven't gone into many stores yet since the whole quarantine thing, but one of the few times I made a Walmart run to get some food and stuff, and I bought the second Fighter's Pass, and the first Fighter's Pass was still on the shelves as like a little card. So I believe if you bought that first Fighter's
Pass... You buy the passes via card? How do you log into the eShop?
You can buy them on the eShop. You can also get a physical card that just has a code. I think the code actually is on the receipt. Yeah, you can buy them physical. I like to collect stuff, so I bought it.
I wish I knew that. There's no point in me buying one now because I don't, But if there's no code on it, I wonder if it could be like, can I have this? I already bought it, I just want to have it.
Yeah, they might give it to you, honestly, because it is just a piece of cardboard, and it's like, if they don't scan it, and I think the code is actually on the receipt. I think as long as they don't scan it and no money has gone onto it, it's literally just a piece of cardboard. Someone like GameStop that like understands that might honestly give you one if you just wanted it to collect. I feel like Walmart or Target would be way more like, this is fishy. This guy's doing some scam trying to get some game. Like, I need to sell to you. But a GameStop employee might actually know what's going on and be like, there's nothing on this if I don't scan it. Take it.
A long time ago, when I think the bookstore was called Borders.
Yes, I remember Borders.
Part of the mall. I remember they had this little credit card sized. I don't know if it was a gift card. I think it was a gift card, but it was almost like a holographic card of the cast of Naruto. And I was
cool.
like, I need this card. And I remember like saying to them, I was like, can I have this? Because it's really awesome. And I don't want to put any money on it. I just want this card. And they let me take it. And I was like,
yeah.
Awesome.
See, I think as long as you talk to someone who understands like how the cards work, they'd be apt to give it to you. If you go up to like the front counter of Walmart, you might get some, person that has no idea is like, yeah, no, you're not taking that. But if you talk to somebody in electronics, or again, go to like a GameStop where they really know what's going on, they may just give you one if you wanted it.
I wish I knew where that was. That was a really cool card. Maybe
Nice.
It's in like an old wallet or something.
I remember Borders. I used to buy. There was this like Star Wars miniatures game, and they used to sell the Star Wars miniatures figures for the game at a Borders, and I used to buy it from them.
Nice.
Back before Borders disappeared.
A miniature a Star Wars game.
Yeah, with like physical like miniatures, like a like a tabletop game. There was a Star Wars game, and it was pretty cool. You get the figures. I thought that was sweet.
So, have you tried out Min Min yet?
Yes, I have. She's fun, but definitely complicated. She's very different from other characters we've gotten before, which is very true of a lot of the DLC characters. But the fact that like the A and B button do different arms, and there's like a lot of things going on with her. Like when you grab, that's how you power up her left arm. You can again both the different A and B button do two different arms. You can hit behind her and in front of her with the two arms. There's a lot of stuff switching which arm you have for the right arm. There's like so much going on. I feel like she's a complex character that takes some getting used to. I don't feel like I'm good with her yet. I'll put it that way. But I do think she seems pretty good to me. At least fairly good. I don't think she's a bad character in any way. But complicated. Definitely a bit of a learning curve, and feels different than any other character. So there's total learning curve there.
Yeah, I picked her up and thought to myself, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is just cool. But there's so many things there are so many unconventional movements that I'm not used to, like the fact that you can throw your arm behind you and the other one in front of you,
right?
But you have to hold back. So just like attacking in front and attacking behind you at the same time, like I can't think to do that.
Or like
I'm so not used to it.
Yeah, using the dragon arm in the air and then also making it spit fire after it comes out, is weird to me. And then also, like you can do jab combos with the special button, or her up special when I'm on the ground is different than her up special when she's in the air. There's a lot going on, and she's very different than traditional Smash characters. Yeah. I'm so used to traditional Smash characters that, the special button being totally out of whack for her, totally different thing. It feels like it doesn't really feel like I'm playing a different game, but it's just really, really odd. It definitely takes some getting used to. Yeah.
Yeah, she's I feel like she's one of those characters where with enough practice and getting used to it in the right hands, she could be deadly. And she's not something you can just pick up and be like, oh, I'm doing amazing, unless you're just really good at fighting games like that,
There's a lot to think about while you're playing her. Again, did I grab the person? Is my dragon arm powered up? What arm do I have selected right now? I'm on the ground. I'm not on the ground. There's just a lot going on you have to think about.
And even having to having the option to do a smash attack while in the air is
it's totally different. It's so weird.
Having to think about it is confusing. Whereas I guess if you do practice enough of it, you can react. And again, person who is used to using her can be very deadly with her. But she's definitely not a character. At least I feel like for me, I can't just pick her up and even be decent with her.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that's going on with her that I know that I'm forgetting things I can do. And that's never a good thing. If I'm playing a character, I want to at least, even if I'm not doing the right thing or I'm not playing them that well, I want to at least know all the tools in my kit that I could pull out so that, I have that thought. And as long as that thought comes to my mind, I'm going to do it. With Min Min, like you said, a smash attack in the air, I don't even think to do it. I don't even think to do it. I have to have that in my head. And then once I'm thinking about that, I'm not thinking about something else she does. So
exactly.
It's tough.
having to think about how to perform something already like makes you not able to think of the next step. Like, you can't anticipate what your opponent is going to do if you can't anticipate what you're going to do. You know,
right.
The
Everything
moment
has
you have to
come,
stop
like,
and think about how do I do my own stuff. You're already at a huge disadvantage.
Right. Everything should be like instinctual, and you should do it, you know, just as a reaction. And even with other characters that I'm not that great with, admittedly, I still know everything they can do. So it's literally just a matter of making sure. That I do it. But with Min Min, I don't have it all in my head. I feel like Hero is another character. I don't know all their menu attacks by heart at all. So it takes a little while. There's a little slowness to that.
I've gotten used to him, except I do have to think about the down B sometimes.
Yeah, I'll do down B, and I'll like some of them I know, but other ones I'm going and I'm like, it slows me down for a second because I'm like, I read it and I'm like, what does that one do?
Yeah.
Oh, right. And
I think it's one of those things where if you play it enough times, eventually it'll get to the point where you see a word and you're like, I need that one, you know?
Right.
But even I'm not up to that yet.
Right, but I don't play. Admittedly, I don't play Hero all that often, so like I didn't expect to know all that stuff by heart or anything, or have it as a reaction. But I still feel fairly comfortable as Hero. Yeah, I'm not good with them, but I feel comfortable enough that I don't feel like, oh man, that match could have gone so differently if I had remembered that he can do this. With Minion, I'll play a whole match, and if I lose or if I do good at the end, whatever the outcome is, I still like next match will be like, oh right, that, and I didn't even think about that last game, and that feels weird to me. With Hero, I might not know all those attacks in the down B, but it's not that I'm not aware that they're there. It's just that I'm not super proficient with the character. With Min Min, I'm actually forgetting a lot of the stuff going on with her, and even though she's the newest character, there's just so much going on there. I don't know if I'm ever, unless I make her like a character I play all the time, I don't know if I'm ever going to feel all that comfortable with her. So it's weird.
Yeah. Now, is she a character you would have wanted to be really good with? Like, are you a fan of ARMS or
I like ARMS. I'm happy with her getting an ARMS character, but I'm not like a super huge fan of the ARMS particularly. I don't own ARMS. I played ARMS over friends' houses. I liked it, but I don't own it. I didn't go out and buy it. I felt like I got what I needed to get from that series, or that single game at this point, from just going over a friend's house and playing it in the early days of the Switch. But I am happy they got a character in Smash. I think I equate it to like Golden Sun, Chibi Robo, Advance Wars. Those were all games I remember people really wanted for like Brawl. Like they wanted characters to get in from those games, and unfortunately it didn't happen. And now those games are kind of older. They haven't gotten new entries in a while. Chibi Robo kind of did, but you get what I'm saying. But I feel like if they had gotten the spotlight on them, gotten a character in Smash, they'd maybe be more flourishing series. So I'm happy that ARMS, who I kind of put in the same category as those series, but in modern day, has gotten the spotlight on them, did get into Smash. That, we're not 10 years later, the next Smash or 2 Smashes from now, whatever it is, going, oh, I hope ARMS finally gets a character, and it's like, yeah, they missed their shot. Like, it's not gonna happen now. So
depending on who the next 5 fighters are, I'm glad we started with ARMS, so because I wouldn't want to end with ARMS.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm definitely. It's totally a great thing to start the pass off on. I wouldn't call it disappointing, but like you said, if I was waiting for the final character, oh, it's just ARMS, it'd feel more like checking a box off of a list of things that, it should probably be in Smash, and less like, oh, that's really awesome. But I'm still happy about it. And one thing I really like is Min Min is a upgraded spirit, so I'm very happy to start the pass off with that happening.
Now, I remember...
That makes the really exciting.
I remember Sakurai, when they announced the Fighters Pass 2, he had said, initially we wanted to put in 1 or 2 more characters, and then we decided to do it in Fighters Pass. So I'm wondering if the 1 or 2 fighters are going to be the first ones in the pass, which is why, like, basically they could have been thinking, oh, we should add like an ARMS character,
right,
and like maybe one other, and then like it turned into a Fighters Pass 2 scenario. So maybe the reason it's first party is because initially it wasn't gonna be a Fighters Pass. Initially it was just those 1 or 2 extra characters. So that makes me think, is is Fighter Pass 7 and potentially 8 first-party characters also? Like, could they be maybe like Rex and Pyra, or like the character that he had wanted in and didn't get in, and then it's like maybe the last 4 will be the big ones, you know?
Yeah, I could see that happening. I definitely think, the last 2 characters we got Byleth, so 3 houses, then we got, Min Min, so an arms rep. If, like you said, we get Rex and Pyra next, Xenoblade, those all feel like 3 things that would happen like post Smash is out, and it's like, oh man, it would have been really cool if we had gotten the newest Fire Emblem game in. I wanted to put ARMS in, and I wanted to put Xenoblade in, but it was just a little too late for base game. If we get like Rex and Pyra next, that would feel exactly like what probably happened.
Right.
When they decided to do it in the past, they went with those 3 or something to get in after the fact, just because they wanted to squeeze them in.
Yeah, and especially because there's still another like Fighter Pass 2 is 6 characters instead of 5. It makes me feel like they're kind of prepping us to not be disappointed, but like prepping us to be okay with the first 1 or 2 at least being
right, not making it feel like this is a really limited thing with limited spots. It's like something in there that feels more like we just did it because Nintendo wanted to, or like we're saying here, like ARMS probably could have been base game but wasn't, so we decided to put it in. There's a couple things like that in this pass. It's more forgiving because, like you said, it's bigger than the last pass, so that's where they're going with it.
So, speaking of Fighters Passes and DLC, I don't know how you are on time. If you can talk, if you're available to talk a bit more, I did want to go into the leaks and predicting.
Yeah, I could do, like, if we talk for another, like, let's say, let's give us 10 minutes. We'll talk about leaks, speculation stuff. We'll end it up here.
So I watched your video, and you had mentioned that when there's a character with a glitch, it doesn't necessarily have to be because the character is a base for a DLC character, but could be because they went in and modified something about that character. So I don't remember I don't remember what you said about this or not, but when they did that for Daisy, or when Daisy's glitch started showing up, as well as Ness's glitch, was there anything about the character that was edited for those?
So I'm losing what you mean.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, so, originally, like a while back, whenever we saw a character was glitching, there was the theory, oh, this must be what they're basing the next fighter off of, right?
Right. Yeah, that's been a theory for a while, and all the stuff we're talking about, just to say, is very hypothetical, theoretical stuff. It's not totally. This isn't like a 1-to-1. This is what happens thing.
Right. So, okay, so with that in mind, recently we realized that if Min Min was based on Captain Falcon, based on some move animations they saw
in her file.
In her file had Captain Falcon moves. If they used Captain File as the Captain File. If they used Captain Falcon as a base for Min Min, then that brings up the question of why was Bayonetta glitching, and then we saw that she actually was like had some moves that were updated or something. Is that right?
So basically, here's what it is. It's like some characters might be being used to create a character like as a base. So they might take some character, use them as a base, and create some other character off of it. But this thing with characters that glitch and whatnot, it's usually suspicious when it's a character that isn't updated. So we get patch notes with every version, and the patch notes have which characters they've tweaked. So if there's a character that didn't get tweaked for any reason because they wanted to update that character, yet they're glitching when they weren't glitching before, it sort of points to that, the dev team's doing something with that character, potentially using them as a base. But I've thrown out the possibility as well that, some of these characters might be being used as bases, but even these glitching characters, if we never see them as a base, if we never find like files or anything pointing them as a base, it's still possible they're hodgepodging together aspects of those characters.
I see.
To create some new character.
So they could have used Bayonetta's like smash attacks as a base to build off of the fists for Min Min and how they work.
Either to reach for her arms or Bayonetta has a texture change when she does attacks, so maybe changing the dragon arm or even changing the normal arms, they may have taken whatever that coding for Bayonetta is and stuck it on the Min character. Even maybe they took Captain Falcon and said, okay, this is the base we're going to build Min off of. All right, what attacks do we want her to have? Okay, that's similar to what Bayonetta does. So let's take a little bit of coding from Bayonetta, stick it. It's like kind of hot together.
Now, are there any characters with glitches currently, or who had glitches that we don't know who they could have pointed to if that was the case?
I mean, it's so hypothetical, and you can
this is all hypothetical,
right?
I'm trying to narrow my hypothetical speculation to something.
It's really hard to oh, this character glitched. So like I'm saying with the Bayonetta stuff, I'm throwing the possibility that it's the texture change from Min or it's the reach from her. Bayonetta already has a big arm reaching smash attack, so maybe they're using that to create the reach that Min has. But that is entirely hypothetical. It could happen that down the line we get some other character that's that's actually why Bayonetta was glitching. It's really unknown. It's hard to say, and we'll probably never know. So and I also wanted to point out that Min base is Captain Falcon. It's possible the Bayonetta stuff has to do with her. It's possible it has to do with some other character. It's possible it was just glitching for some reason. No, I do think it's weird the dev team was working on a character that didn't have any updates. So I feel like there's something there. But that makes it especially hard that we have a bunch of glitches with Daisy right now. So maybe Daisy is being used as a base to build some character, and maybe that character is like Daisy. Maybe
the more a character glitches, or the more glitches present, the more likely it is that they are the model being built
base,
off of.
They're the actual base. Yeah.
But Captain Falcon never had any glitches, did he?
As far as we know, I don't think so. I'm not aware of any. So again,
they got the right dev team to work on Min, right. I guess.
So it's so hypothetical and so weird. It's you could look at okay, we have a bunch of glitches with Daisy. So let's say Daisy's the base for a character. Okay, well, who does that remind me of? I could say Arl, I could say Reimu, something like that. A character with but
basically a girl with that type of style.
Style or something. But the thing is, we have Captain Falcon as a base for Min. I would have never thought Min as Captain Falcon. So, even if Daisy's glitching, maybe the character's not going to be much like her at all. Maybe it's an aspect of Daisy that they want to use that works.
Well, I want to point out that Min has a lot of kicks, and so does Captain Falcon. So maybe the model they used was actually, rather than a hodgepodge of characters to make moves, maybe the model is a hodgepodge of other models, maybe they brought parts of Bayonetta in to this model they built off of Captain Falcon, and they and they adjusted the kicks to use for her kicks, and adjusted the hair to use for her smash attacks.
Right. I mean, the only thing we have from Captain Falcon is that Falcon kick is in her files. So you can say he's the base, but maybe Bayonetta was the base, and Captain Falcon was just used to pull in some kick animations.
Right.
It's impossible to know. Without being the dev team, it's impossible to know. So again, to go back to Daisy right now, you could make theories about characters that are like Daisy, but with Captain Falcon and Min, it might not even be close to that. And it might just be something like right now, Daisy's dress is looking like a skirt sometimes. So maybe it's for a character with a skirt. Maybe it's just anybody with fabric, which could be
or a character with no dress, and it's glitching because the glitch has the dress go missing, right?
Disappear, right? So maybe it's a character that has it's a female character with legs, and they don't, they're getting rid of the dress. I don't know. It is so
hypothetically, they could be using Daisy, and they are in the midst, or they were in the midst of building this character, or maybe they did, and by the time 8.0 rolled out, and the character, they removed it from the game because it's not out yet, and perhaps doing so, part of the, hey, remove the skirt from Daisy to build this model, somehow that code was still existing, and that's why.
Right. Yeah, that's the basic theory, is that the reason the glitches are happening is because they've gone in, done something with these characters, most likely to build future DLC characters, because obviously that's all they're really working on right now. And then also doing updates for certain characters, like buffs and nerfs. But if a character has some weird glitches happening and they don't have patch notes, they haven't been worked on, then the reason that they have these glitches, or they were worked on or changed, probably is because they have something to do with the DLC character.
Yeah.
So that's, where theorizing on this comes from. But given, again, that Captain Falcon turns into Min Min here, it's really hard to guess at who this character is pointing towards. The reaching theories about what this could mean might be closer than saying, like, oh, Daisy reminds me of Arl, Shantae, and Reimu, so it's probably one of them. But it might be the more reaching theory of, like, yeah, there's a different character that just has some fabric in their costume, so they're doing something to dress.
My thoughts are that Captain Falcon, like we were saying before, was used as the base for some movements, and Bayonetta was used as a base for some appearances.
The character model,
and that's why Captain Falcon didn't have any appearance change, because he wasn't used as a base for the model, but was used for some animations.
Right,
and
that's really possible.
With that in mind, Daisy has a physical glitch. So her model can be used for. They could be being used for DLC, but when said DLC character comes out, they might have an animation from another existing character that has no glitch.
Right.
That's
possible. Yeah, so it's possible Captain Falcon. It's possible Captain Falcon was the base. It's possible he wasn't and just used for the kick animations. And again, it's possible Bayonetta has nothing to do with Min Min, but maybe she was the base to make the a female figure that looks sort of like Bayonetta's, which Min Min kind of falls into as far as which Smash characters could work for her. Maybe the texture change was because they're doing that. Maybe Daisy's the same way, so maybe the character does have a model similar to Daisy's, and maybe the movements are coming from something else. Or maybe it's Daisy's movements that are being used. It's like impossible to say for sure. So basically all the wild theory and weird speculation you can come up with for these glitches, I want to hear all of them, because it's probably going to be some weird thing. In hindsight, it'll probably be easier to go, oh, that's probably what it was for.
So here's my hopeful theory. It's an example of what we were talking about that kind of continues with the idea of a character being used for animation and another character being used for appearance. So this is there's a bit of bias in this in this example, but I can see Shantae taking Daisy as a base model, and then maybe them using a character that's not glitching to help with some animations. So then later you might see said animations in her file, like maybe you might see Zelda because she uses spells just like Shantae can use spells. So you might see her use a Zelda moves animations in her files, but she wasn't built off of Zelda.
And the toughest thing too is that not all the time when the character comes out do we end up with the older files from whatever, a single character at least that they used to make that character still left in there. It doesn't happen all the time, so it's just so really hard to say after the fact. If that is actually who they were using to build the character or used at all to build the character. So even if all these Daisy glitches happen and we never see Daisy's code in, let's say Shantae does come out and we don't see Daisy's code in there, but we do find like one Zelda move, you could say, oh, Zelda was used, but the truth might be it may have been both. And they just scrubbed all the Daisy ones out of there, and the only thing that got left was the Zelda one. Or we get Shantae to come out and in the files there's no older characters in there, but they still used one, they just happened to scrub all the files out. The reason Min Min has Falcon Kick is because her down B doesn't cause an animation. It just causes, the texture change, the arm to change. So the animation is still in there because it didn't have to do it. Yeah.
I see.
So, you won't always have a character, you won't always have the files from an older character available to ever look at for one of the newer DLC characters. So we just have to kind of wait and see what we get and then make assumptions based on what we get. So we may get the next character and it may just have Daisy in the file, and there we go. We know that for sure. It might not.
It's always easier when coding to work with a template than from scratch. So that could be why,
Almost certainly all the DLC characters are, they're using characters already in the game to make the DLC characters. That's just easier. I think almost every modder does that. Like when we make a mod of a game, you base it off something already in the game. And even though the Smash team, are obviously beyond modders and have access to the full source code of the game and, can do whatever they want, I think it's still easier to build characters off of other characters. I think that's just kind of common sense that you would probably want to do that than start from absolutely nothing.
So, do you think this Fighter's Pass is going to be all characters, or mostly characters that were spirits?
I think we will at least get one more, possibly more than one, but I think at least we'll get one more simply because of how much Min Min's reveal trailer had, like, focus on spirits. They talked a lot about spirits. Sakurai said spirit battles may change in the future, and be prepared for that and stuff. So I feel like we're being set up for that, or
That's what I felt like.
Yeah, and the fact they started with Min Min, who's an upgraded spirit, kind of saying, like announcing at the beginning of the past that spirits can be upgraded. This is a thing that might happen. So I feel like that guarantees at least one. As far as like assist trophies, I don't know if that's going to get updated, maybe. But I don't think we've been set up for that. But I think we have been set up for at least one more spirit to get upgraded. Otherwise, I don't think they would have said it. They would have. I think Sakurai would have done Min Min and said, I know Min Min's a spirit, but this is a special case because we want to get an ARMS character in. So, like, don't expect this to happen in the future. I think he probably would have said something like that.
Well, here's
another one.
Here's where I'm a bit worried. He said that, but the Min Min spirit battle did not change.
Right.
So it seems so far that when he says a spirit battle changes based on DLC, it seems like it has to do with Mii fighters, which has me worried because, you know, you have me wanting Geno too, but it has me worried that they're going to give us the Geno Mii costume and then replace one of the fighters that appear in his spirit battle with Mii, you know?
Geno spirit battle has Sheik in it. You can replace that obviously with the Geno Mii. Totally possible. And I honestly think that I believe we probably will get Mii costumes that will update spirit battles, and like, yeah, we are being set up for that, certainly. But I still feel like the amount of focus that went on this, the spirit idea, Geno aside, I do think the idea of getting at least one more upgraded spirit is kind of what we've been set up for here. So I do feel like that will happen. Mii costumes aside and spirit battles changing. Min Min got a fighter spirit, so it is really easy. Like, they don't have to do anything in the spirit battle. They just add another spirit that is called, you know, the character's name and in parentheses fighter. So I feel like they can add any spirit characters they want pretty easily.
Yeah, and I like what you pointed out, that even for Lucas they used his 8 or 16-bit sprite.
His sprite work, yeah.
So there, I'm sure there's plenty of sprites of Geno that they could use. But there's also, like you said, that puzzle that was used official artwork, which would be really cool if they used that, because, you know, they have this extra official art that would be neat to see.
Right. I'd love to see that puzzle, which did get like highlighted fairly recently. The artist for the puzzle posted it on Twitter like only maybe a month ago now. It was like a few weeks ago, I think, when I was talking about it. A few weeks before I talked about it, he posted it. So, you know, that kind of randomly art from 20 plus years ago is being shown off on Twitter. Is a little
suspicious.
Weird. Yeah, a little suspicious.
Almost as if he was asked, or it was brought to his attention that they were going to use something from his artwork, and because he couldn't, you know, maybe because of being under NDA, maybe that was just, you know, he wanted to remind everyone, hey, I did this artwork. This way, like, when it actually does come out, people will be like, yeah, oh, that's his art, you know?
Right.
Not necessarily posting it to be a hint or anything, but kind of just like to put it out there in modern day, so that if like that artwork is used for Geno's fighter spirit, like, people will make that connection instead of being
aware of who the artist is or something. Because otherwise, it's like, oh yeah, they used this really obscure Geno artwork from 25 years ago or whatever, and it's forgotten, you know. And this guy's has now put out like, hey, I did this puzzle for Mario RPG. Check it out. It's innocent, but it's out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he was even told he could do that, you know. Or
he may have even been encouraged to do it, and it may have been one of those things again that, like, you know, Nintendo, whatever the Nintendo archives are, you know, they went and dug it up and were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna use this one because there's not that many official pieces of Geno art, but we have like 2 of them. Here's the other. It would make sense.
And the thought of, I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna get a Resident Evil character, but I would love to see Jill Valentine, and it's like, You know, now we can actually have her because it doesn't matter that she's a spirit.
Yeah, I mean, I really think there's no rules here, so I'm not counting anyone out completely, but I am less hopeful for anything that's happened as DLC already, simply because like they had it in mind as DLC, you know, whatever it is, like whatever game it is, they've said, okay, that game, right, we're gonna put that as Smash DLC, and they've decided Spirit Event, or they've decided Mii Costume. About the only one I feel really flexible about is Rex, because he came with the first Fighter's Pass. So, you know, yeah, he's a Mii Costume as DLC, but it's literally right at the base game, you know, is coming out DLC. And especially with the idea in mind of, like, characters Sakurai wanted to get in Smash, like the ARMS character, or potentially Fire Emblem Three Houses, or, again, potentially Xenoblade. He has said Xenoblade 2 was something he wanted to get in Smash. May happen as DLC, simply because they were a little late to the party. So I'm not counting Rex out so much, but things like the Resident Evil spirits, as much as I love to get a Resident Evil character, I am a less hopeful of it, because I feel like it was on the table for DLC and they've decided Spirit Event. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Unless they were like reapproached about it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, unless it was something they were trying to do.
But it does sound less likely. It does sound like it was something they settled for.
Yeah.
However, hopefully it was something they settled for because it was early on in the first Fighter Pass, and now that they're making a second Fighter Pass, it could still be on the table. You know? Yeah,
that's a possibility. You know, if it was something, again, that's sort of the Rex idea. If it was something that was happening early on in the Fighter's Pass or right after base game or something, I feel like it's more likely that they could potentially be like, all right, we're going to save that for Fighter Pass 2, or now that Fighter Pass 2 is open, that's back on the table. That's obviously how I feel about spirits in base game. But yeah, after the DLC stuff, it gets messier. I guess I'm just saying, once DLC, Fighter Pass 1 and the DLC that happened at that time, Spirit Events, Mii Costumes, was happening, it's a little messier to think if they're going to do it for Fighter Pass 2. Again, I'm not counting anything out, but I'm less hopeful than base game spirits, which I feel like are legitimately, like, anything that's in the base game is actually back on the table. Min proves that.
I think if there's still any rule, and I don't even think it's a rule, but it's probably more likely to be true, is that we won't see any playable assist trophies. But he could surprise us like he did with the spirits, so, you know.
Right, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with assist trophies. I'm not expecting one. I feel like, again, having Min be the first one in this Fighter's Pass, focusing, I mean, he did say that thing about spirit battles potentially being upgraded, but he also, like we focused on spirits for a while. There was, like, the challenging spirits thing that they added, so it really feels like he spent a lot of time talking about spirits, and I feel set up for at least one more.
Yeah, me too.
Happen. But assist trophies were not touched upon. That said, I could see it happening, though I feel like if we got an assist trophy, it would literally be something like Challenger Pack 11 is Waluigi, surprise, the end. You know, like, I'm not expecting, oh yeah, this pass is going to have Shadow, Isaac, and Waluigi. Like, I don't expect that at all. Whereas, I'm sorry?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, whereas I do sort of expect, I don't want to say expect, but if this Fighter's Pass happened and it had Rayman, Shantae, and Geno, I'd be like, yes, a lot of spirit. Yeah. It happened. You know, I'm not expecting that, but I wouldn't be, at this point, wouldn't be shocked by it. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. It was kind of a more spirit-focused pass.
I'd be a little surprised if at the end of all the DLC, Rayman wasn't playable, because it's just so odd that he was a trophy in the last game, and then it's a spirit in this game, and it's like, it sounds like you want to do something with Rayman, but you haven't yet, and so he could even be like one of the last couple or few that they were going to put in after Fighter Pass 1 and decided to put in Fighter Pass 2, you know?
That's kind of where my head's at when I'm guessing at the full second Fighter's Pass here, is things that they may have wanted to do, and now that Sakurai has a bit of an extension, may do. Kind of like Geno would be one of those, obviously. Rayman is another one. The idea of ARMS or Rex, like we were talking about, things that maybe he was trying to get in base game. Geno, someone he wanted to do in the past. I think things about Heihachi and Lloyd. Obviously, we got the Heihachi Mii costume, but I could see Lloyd happening. So, you know, I feel like if the whole pass at the end, we look at it and it's like, oh, these are all things like that have been mentioned. I know Sakurai said like Nintendo chooses the DLC and stuff, but in the Min Min trailer, we also had Sakurai say, I was thinking Ninjara or Min Min, and then, you know, the developer of ARMS said Min Min, so I went with Min Min, which makes me feel like whatever Nintendo chose the DLC means is probably a little more like parameters than I don't think Nintendo went to Sakurai.
What do you mean by that?
What?
What exactly do you mean by what Nintendo?
So, like, it's been said that Nintendo chooses the DLC. That's
right.
Sakurai has said Nintendo chooses the DLC.
Right.
But we just had this, you know, in Min Min's reveal, we had Sakurai say, I was thinking Ninjara or Min Min, and then the developer of ARMS wanted Min Min, so I went with Min Min.
Right.
So obviously Nintendo didn't go to Sakurai and say, put Min Min in Smash.
I see what you're saying.
Nintendo might have parameters, so Nintendo may have said, hey Sakurai, we'd like ARMS to get in Smash. And then he got to choose the character.
I see.
And you may get something like, hey Sakurai, Square is really popular. Can you put another Square character in? And then Sakurai gets to choose Geno. Or it might be, hey Sakurai, Namco wants a second character, and he chooses Lloyd. Or, hey Sakurai, Ubisoft, and he chooses Rayman. You know, it might not be, Sakurai, you need to put, you know, Rayman, Min Min. This, you know, Nintendo might not just give him 6 characters and say, here you go. I feel like what we learned at the Min Min thing.
For some, like Rayman, for example, I can't see. I wouldn't be able to see them saying like, "Hey, choose a Ubisoft character or choose a Rayman character." It's like,
Right.
It would make more sense at least for them to say, "Hey, put in Rayman because he was in the past couple of games in a sense."
It's
you know,
also totally possible Nintendo goes like there's 6, and Nintendo has like, okay, these 2 or 3 characters are like, this is the character we want you to do, and then the other 3 are like, this is the parameter
series or characters from said series.
Yeah, or even like, okay, Sakurai, we have 6 spots, and 2 of those spots, you know what, do whatever you want, or do something from the ballot, do something that fans want, you know, for these 2 spots, but we need you to work with this company, and we want to promote ARMS, because like, let's say Nintendo knows they're making a sequel or something, like, we want you to promote ARMS for that. Give us at least another first-party Nintendo character, whoever you want. We just want something else Nintendo. And then we want you to work with Namco, and we want you to work with Square, and then do whatever else you want. Something from the ballot, something for the fans. You know, I think it's more parameters than specific characters. Given
I
what
also wonder if it's a little bit the opposite way, where they look at the ballot first, and they say these are some of the feasible or realistic ballot, like highest choices on the ballot. Pick from this list, and then also make sure you put a couple of these characters in. You know,
that's
so you might have like 1, 2, or 3 out of a list of like 10, like to choose for ballot slots, and then like he has to also choose like an ARMS character. So he might not be given one list, but he might be given multiple lists, or like a list plus like some other things he has to put in, you know?
Right. Yeah, again, parameters I feel like is more likely what's happening here, given what we've seen. I'm not saying Sakurai's like lying to us about Nintendo choosing the DLC. I think, you know, they probably do have control of the DLC, but I feel like, especially after him saying, I was thinking Ninjara or Min Min, and then legitimately said the reason it's Min Min is because Yabuki told him to put in Min Min, you know, it means that there's a little bit more negotiation going on here than Nintendo giving him a name of a character and he just does it. Like, there's definitely more going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling like almost expecting Shantae and Geno right now, and
I'm very hopeful. You know, obviously Geno's my most fun. I'm very hopeful for Geno. I'm trying to reel back my hype. I do feel like it's either I get playable Geno or I get like an upgraded, like the, you know, style Mii costume like Sans and Cuphead and Fallout. And I'm honestly pretty cool with either of those outcomes. If neither of those things happen, I'll probably be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be like, if it's a Mii costume, like I'll be okay with it. Like that'll be cool. I'll get to see him, you know, rendered nicely in 3D. You know, I'll basically be able to play as Geno. It'll be pretty cool. Obviously, I'd rather have him be playable. But I do feel like one of those 2 outcomes will probably happen. But I am trying to control my hype level here and not get too like, oh, it's definitely going to be these characters. Because if I'd shown you my list of who I thought was going to be in Fighter Pass 1 compared to what we got, it's very different. Very different.
Yeah.
I think Hero and Banjo are probably the only 2 that like I thought, those are probably going to happen. So yeah, we'll see what Fighter Pass 2 looks like in the end.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon and just saying false leak stuff. But what are your thoughts on a potential 7/7 direct or reveal, like a July 7th?
I have a video that I'm going to put out.
Okay.
About that. Yeah, so that's in the works.
Putting that up?
Probably tonight, so it should come out.
Oh, nice.
So today's the 5th, so this will probably come out after that.
Is there any hint
I'll have all my
you can
thoughts
give
on
us
that.
or something? Any hint or something?
I'll throw out, like, I'm not expecting it, but I am following it because there's a lot of coincidences going on with it. So I don't expect it to happen, but I do. I'm looking at it, and if like, tomorrow the 6th we get like an announcement on the 7th, or we get like a shadow drop direct on the 7th, like I'm gonna be pretty hyped. And whether or not it ends up being Geno or something totally different. And obviously, if the next fighter isn't Geno, doesn't mean Geno can't happen, or if nothing happens on the 7th, doesn't mean, it really, this is all coincidental stuff with the 7s. We've never had any of the characters so far really have anything to do with the fighter number associated with them. So, like, it's a total conspiracy theory fan thing. It does not, count out Geno if it doesn't go down this way. But yeah, I am looking at it like, oh man, maybe.
So if we were going to get a July 7th direct, do you think they would announce the day before that there was going to be a direct the following day? Or do you think that they would just randomly drop it out of nowhere?
I hope they don't shadow drop it, because, like, I don't like shadow drops.
Yeah, me either.
To know in advance so I can do a reaction video, so I can get ready to watch the video. I don't get spoiled on it. But Nintendo did shadow drop the March direct on us, so it's possible they would shadow drop it.
Which was the March direct?
That was the one that told us that we would get an ARMS character. So that's a direct shadow drop on us, and I was kind of bummed about that because I got spoiled before I had a chance to watch it. Like, people had told me, like, oh, ARMS is coming, and I was, just going to watch the video, and I was like, oh.
I kind of remember that. I remember hearing there was an ARMS character, and I was like, wait, what? And then I saw the direct. I don't remember there being a shadow drop, but I remember the aftermath of being like an ARMS character, and then seeing the direct and being like, oh.
Oh, that's why people are saying that.
Yeah, exactly. So I wonder if they would do that again.
I would hope they don't, unless they... I don't mind it too much if it's something like what they did with the ARMS character. I will be honestly pretty upset if, like, just, hypothetical scenario. Let's say Geno is next, they do it on the 7th, and they shadow drop it. Because most likely, I'm going to see that in the comments somewhere before I click on the video. And I'm not going to have a chance to actually have that character, revealed to me. If they do something like the next Smash character will be revealed in August or something, and we hear that in a direct this week or something, I'd be cool with that. That doesn't bug me. But or even if it's like from this company or something. But I'd be pretty bummed if
because you couldn't properly react to it.
I couldn't react to it. It's not even so much like filming the reaction, even though I
wanted to be surprised.
But literally wanting to be surprised. And as much as I'm someone who, I'm talking about leaks and I'm looking at stuff, or like the Kako Mello leak, like what if that ends up being real and I totally gave away Doom Guy and Geno to myself? It's way different than, absolute confirmation, like, oh yeah, Nintendo put it out and you didn't see it.
I could see them kind of doing that as a shadow drop last time, because they're like, oh, nobody's going to be that excited about an ARMS character. Let's just try to get it over with. Yeah. But I'm still shocked that they even shadow dropped it. Like, you'd think that they would want to build up hype, even for a day, saying, oh, we stay tuned for tomorrow, we got a direct coming, Like, it would build hype. I can't see how everybody would just see the direct when it's revealed. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the quarantine throwing off their schedule or something, and then they somehow were just like, okay, put this out today.
Yeah,
and maybe it won't really happen again because now they've had more time to plan.
Right. That's a theory I've heard a little bit. I've heard some people, and there is some evidence for this based on, if you go on the website, I think if you look at like the numbering of the images for spirit events is off, and it makes it seem like Min Min maybe should have happened on the March March or April or something like that, but they held it off. So maybe the ARMS reveal would have been a reveal and release, or a reveal from Inman and then released at the same time or something. But since they weren't ready for that, maybe the trailer wasn't ready or something, they instead just did, well, we don't want them to go 5 months with nothing Smash, so we're just going to say the series it's from, but not who, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but it may be a coronavirus, like you said, pandemic, had their schedule not the way it should be, but maybe they're more up to speed now and things are on track.
Yeah. Now, how would you personally feel in this scenario where, not necessarily Shadow, just a direct comes out, whether it was Shadow dropped or you saw it, right? So how would you feel if a direct talks about Smash and they say the next Smash character is going to be from Super Mario? Would you like crap your pants?
Man.
Oh no.
Yeah. It'd probably be the worst, because I would be very excited, obviously, for Geno, and I would probably have to wait however long it is, if they tell us, like, oh, it's going to happen in August or whatever, we would just have to wait through the constant, like, it's going to be Waluigi, it's going to be Paper Mario, like, it's not going to be Geno, or it is going to be Geno, like, I don't even want to have those conversations, like, spare me, please.
Yes.
Because I hate rivalry, I hate character rivalry.
Me too.
ARMS wasn't that bad, because I don't think there aren't that many people, I think, that were super strongly into a particular ARMS character. They were more like, I think everybody who was cool with getting an ARMS character was pretty much cool with any ARMS character, though, leaning more towards one than the other or something, which is totally fine. But I don't think anybody's passions were that high. But I really don't want to have to butt heads with, like, Waluigi fans. I want Waluigi myself too, and I don't want to be disappointed at getting someone like that. So if you build it up as this rivalry thing for which Mario character it's going to be, at the end it's either disappointment or I'm happy about it, but then I have this other fan base that lost, quote unquote. Like, I don't want that. I really don't want that.
There's only so many series that they can say, oh, the next character is going to be from this series, because otherwise a lot of them, there's only really like one character you can choose from said series. Like something like Mario, there's so many characters.
Yeah, it actually works for saying it that way, and Geno would be a surprise.
But you would never be able to say, oh, stay tuned for next month when, the next Smash character is revealed from Kingdom Hearts, or, just it's an example. And you're like, well, who could it be?
Yeah, or it's a Rayman character, like you said before. It's like, well, it's going to be Rayman. Or if it's not Rayman, and then everybody's just kind of sitting here like,
the only problem, I can see this happening, and it would be disappointing, but they technically could refer to like a Rabbit as a Rayman character, and it would make sense, but it would not be in their best interest to say, a Rayman character, because it's just like, okay, it has to be Rayman, otherwise you're just being
cruel.
Yeah.
That was just extra cruel.
So, series that they can say it about are, Super Mario. They can say it about Pokemon. They can say it about...
Pokemon would be perfect, actually. Pokemon would be just like the ARMS thing, where they can say a Pokemon rep, and then you have the 3 starters, you have some legendaries, some popular ones like Toxtricity. It would totally work for Pokemon.
Yeah. Although I think it worked best for ARMS because, at least according to... the producer or creator, everyone is a main character,
right?
So if you're referring to a series that is a fighting game that has original characters, or a game series with a cast of original characters where you really can't choose who's more popular than who, or who's a better choice, that's why something like Pokemon really fits, whereas saying Super Mario would technically fit, but there's way less things
and it would be somewhat disingenuous too, because it's like Waluigi is from the side games, it's not really from the Super Mario games, or Geno is from Mario RPG, so it just causes a lot of weird issues. It works better for like you said, a fighting game where it's not clear who the main character is. Something like a Soul Calibur rep's coming, because then it could be Nightmare, it could be Sophia, it could be Mitsuru.
Link.
There's a lot of choices that work.
Yeah. that also works for, I mean, Nintendo doesn't make Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest, but it would work for something like that too.
Yeah, something like that would work too. It's very specific to what the series is. Pokemon works, but even with Pokemon, I would almost prefer if they said like a character from Pokemon Sword and Shield, so it narrows it down to like, okay, it's going to be a character introduced in Sword and Shield. Like,
well, even the wording doesn't necessarily mean it had to be introduced in Sword and Shield.
It could be in there. Yeah, it could just be someone that's in there. So.
Because there are old Pokemon that show up, unless they said introduced in Sword and Shield.
Right.
Then it really narrows it down.
Hopefully they don't tease us like that going forward. It worked with ARMS, but I prefer not.
Yeah, it worked. That's the thing with ARMS is that, it worked with ARMS. And it built up hype because of because of what it meant to DLC going forward. Where they can't really replicate that again unless... even something like this, say, if it was a character from who is an assist trophy, they could do it again, but I don't think any of the assist trophies currently are from a series with multiple characters,
Right.
You can't really say that our next character from Golden Sun, and you're like, wait a second. You're like,
yeah.
Is it not Isaac? It really depends. But I think
the ARMS thing was perfect. It had, people speculating about will spirits actually be upgraded or not, which is fun speculation. It had a full roster of characters, but not too many. It also, I think, softened the blow of anyone who was going to be disappointed by getting an ARMS rep to know that's the series before we knew the character. It actually made when the character got revealed exciting because you knew it was coming. You had already been speculating on it. It worked very well for ARMS. I don't see it working too well for anything going forward.
Yeah.
Except for potentially Pokemon.
I'm actually expecting for them not to do that again.
Yeah,
so
I am too. And I really hope they don't shadow drop anything. That said, I really hope they don't shadow drop anything because I feel like if they did shadow drop something, it wouldn't be like they did for announcing ARMS. It would be, there's the character reveal. So please don't do that.
Yeah. The only thing I could really see it being okay with is Pokemon to generate some hype because there's so many things it could be. But I also think it worked better as ARMS because of what it meant and what it was.
Totally.
So, but before we go, do you have a prediction for Fighter Pass 2? Like who they're gonna be?
Oh man, like a whole. I don't. I have struggled with
or
it.
At least some characters that will probably be on there.
I'll throw this out there. I believe we'll get an upgraded Spirit. I think Lloyd is likely. Besides that, I don't really want to speculate. I think Lloyd's likely. I think a Pokemon rep's likely.
Really? You think we'll get
I could do stuff like that, but the thing is, once I start doing that, I end up with too many things I think are likely. Like, we don't have enough spots for the amount of things I think are, that's pretty likely. So that's why I really don't like doing this, because I can't narrow it down. But I do think a Spirit will probably get upgraded. I'll say that. I think we'll probably get at least one more Spirit upgraded.
Yeah. I'm actually probably setting myself up for disappointment when I say that I'm expecting Shantae and Gino.
Hopefully.
I feel like with all the stuff that went on behind the scenes with I say with Gino, but rather things that could support Gino, like those Super Mario RPG tracks being taken down, and like the puzzle artwork being put up, and the glitch with Ness's face pointing to him potentially being used as a model for a character, and Gino has similar body type. Yeah, it's just so, and like technically they could use the model of his Mii costume, but his Mii costume didn't have Gino's face. He had Gino's body, and strangely, it's Ness's face that messed up. So. But then again, I mean, what can you really take from Ness unless you're just taking the way the body moves, and
I could see
more work done to the face because of...
I mean, Ness kind of flips around. He sort of has like a little puppet Gino body looking, the way his head compared to like his body size sort of fits. The way he jumps, he kind of floats, which I could see Gino kind of having a weird puppety like flip around.
Well, it's kind of like psychic Gino.
Gino, he uses like magic.
Okay.
That's similar enough to like what Ness does.
Yeah.
Ness has PK Starstorm, which is really similar to one of Geno's attacks, so that could work for a final smash. I could see Ness has like his victory animation. He does a little like nod when Geno wins a match. He crosses his arms and nods. So like,
and that glitch was in the victory scene, right?
Yeah.
So,
this is a victory thing, so
it would make sense for them to pull an animation from Ness, and
right? Exactly.
They might have messed with the face, or something. I can see that happening. And I don't see any evidence except for Daisy to point to Shantae. But
I didn't. Way Forward makes Shantae. Am I correct?
Yes.
I think they used to talk a lot about getting Shantae in Smash. They haven't so much since like the first Fighters Pass. So possibility there of a non-disclosure agreement or something. That's
right. But I'm also wondering if it's because very early on Sakurai already said Nintendo chose the DLC.
Possibly, and they just don't want to.
That's when everybody kind of like shut up.
Yeah.
And so because they didn't say anything doesn't necessarily mean they're under NDA, but it just could be because Nintendo already knows we want Shantae in, and they just said that Nintendo chose the character, so there's no point in us continuing to push it. However, thinking hopefully it could be because they were already chosen, because there was a short amount of time between Fighter Pass 2 being announced and Sakurai saying that the characters were already chosen. There was a small amount of time where Shantae fans were hashtagging Shantae for Fighters Pass 2 or something like that. And I don't think, Way Forward was probably, tagged in them as well. And I don't think they ever commented on it. Whereas you would think that if Shantae wasn't gonna be in it, and they didn't know that all the characters were already chosen, they could have potentially like retweeted it or because of how active with it were in the very beginning. They could have easily been like, oh, that would be awesome, or a dream come true or something, because they seem like the type of company who would make some kind of statement like that, that would be awesome, or that would be a dream, but I think they didn't say anything at all. So that kind of makes me feel a little bit more like NDA.
It's definitely a little suspicious. Like I have noticed it, but like you said, it might be because of what Sakurai said about already chosen. Don't say anything about it, or even just like we got Shantae in as a spirit. We already talked to Nintendo. They said that's what it's going to be. They
could have been told like or something, and there's no point in them pushing it.
Right, exactly, and they might just out of courtesy been like, well, we're not gonna be annoying about it to Nintendo. We already talked to them. We already did get in Smash technically. Like, we're honored to be here. That's where we're at, and we're not gonna push things further.
So once Geno gets in, you'll have no more characters to push for, right?
I mean, there are characters, but the big three I wanted were Little Mac, Banjo, and Geno back in Brawl. I have 2 out of 3 so far, so if I get Geno, I'll be completely satisfied. But there are other characters I wanted. Isaac is big. Lloyd is big on my list. I'm sure there's other ones I'm probably spacing on in the moment, but there are probably another set of like 15 to 20 characters or so that are my second tier characters that I'd love to see. I don't need them, but I'd love to see. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, you saw my Fighter Pass wish list, right? I think I tagged you.
I might have a while ago. I don't recall.
Yeah, it was a while back when like Fighter Pass 2 was announced. And so there was this template going around where people would be like, oh, pick the 6 characters for your Dream Fighters Pass. And I wasn't sure if you ever did that.
I have done it before. I did it for the first Fighters Pass. I haven't done it for the second one yet. Again, mostly because it's just really tough. It's really tough to narrow it down. What I have done, and I posted on my Discord, is I have it's like 20 characters, but it's like kind of things I think are going to happen, and then lists of characters that could fit that. Like I have I think it's like 4 first-party characters I had for I think we'll get another first-party character. There was upgraded spirits I think we might get. It was Rayman, Shantae, Geno are kind of in that list. I had I think a Namco rep's going to happen. This was before.
So you actually want Shantae?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Shantae's awesome. I think her moveset would be
games.
amazing. Hair attacks, changing and stuff like that. And she goes back to the like Game Boy Color days. Like she has a history with Nintendo.
Have you played any Shantae games?
I have played some of the older ones. I have not played the new one. I don't think it's out. The newest one.
Are you a fan of Shantae?
No, I am.
Because like, you know, we always talk about on the podcast with Alpha and the others, like, you know, oh, can't wait for Shantae. But I didn't know you actually wanted Shantae in also. So that's cool.
No, definitely. I think she's a really cool idea for rep. And like, I was like, I got Nintendo Power magazine like back in the day and stuff. And I remember Shantae being in there. Like she has a history with Nintendo to me. And as much as I think of Smash as like a testament to all of gaming, it is first and foremost about, you know, things with Nintendo history. And I think Shantae fits perfectly for that, especially from the
me too.
Game Boy Color. And I'm more associated with the Game Boy Advance like era, even though I know she started in Game Boy Color. So like I like.
Well, that's because it's the end of the Game Boy Color era, really.
Right, exactly. So I feel like we need more reps from around that time period. I mentioned like Golden Sun, Advance Wars, and things that kind of got left in the dust. So I'd love to see more characters from that era actually, you know, get in Smash.
Yeah. So then, I mean, I keep saying, well, before we go, what's, you know, but like, the conversation's so good, but I want to say before we go again, you know, I don't know how many more times I'm gonna say that. So if you were to make that wish list for a fight, like just your dream picks, not necessarily what you think's gonna happen, not necessarily what you're like predicting, which is the same exact thing as thinking what's gonna happen. What is your wish list? Like your pie in the sky, if it could be, you know, like what's the ultimate 6-character fighter pass for you?
See, that's tough too, because there are characters like I really like, but really the only ones that, like I kind of said it before, like I wanted Little Mac, Banjo, and Geno. Those are like the 3 that I wanted. And then there's like 20 characters on the tier 2. So picking.
So I'm assuming Geno, so you have 5 more.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it because like it's too hard. I will get caught up.
Wow.
Like yeah, it's too hard to make that pass. I want Rayman. I want Lloyd. I want you know, I could. There's so many characters I want, and to just pick 5. I want Crash. I want. I'd love a Soul Calibur character. But I can't just do 5. Like I will run out of space.
Yeah, when I made my 6-fighter, my 6-character Dream Fighter Pass, there was still like 1 or 2 others that I wanted to put in, and I remember mine was my pass was Sora, Shantae, Geno. I put Resident Evil, but I put it as like similar to a hero, so it was Jill Valentine as the main with Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, and Leon Kennedy as like the alternate Resident Evil characters. I just don't know what the character would be called. I would assume it would make sense to just like change the name, like for the Koopalings, and just have a main. So it was a Sora, Shantae, Geno, Jill Valentine with the other 3 as alternates, and I said Marina Lightyears from Mischief Makers.
Yeah,
I know she's never gonna happen because it's like a dead franchise at this point, unless Treasure or whoever decides to re-release it, which they should, or make a sequel or do anything with it.
I have crazy out there characters that I know won't happen too. Like I want Toe Jam and Earl. I want the kid Zeke from Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Like stuff that will absolutely never happen. Mm-hmm. If I allow that onto my list, it's like then I have even more characters to pull from, and I can't do it.
Yeah, and then the last character on that list was Skull Kid.
Oh, nice.
Because I always thought he would be an awesome character because
he's
another Zelda rep. He's another villain rep. He's awesome. Like you know, just like
the potential's so cool.
That's what I mean by like aside from his design and stuff, his actual like what he does is awesome.
The way he'd move around and float and like spin and like just all the like it'd be so cool.
I think he'd be a great fighter. And he represents another villain. He represents another Zelda character. The only problem is it's like an old character, you know, at this point. It's like if he wasn't in the base game, why would he be DLC?
Right, and it was
you know, especially now he's still an assist trophy, so I'm not expecting him but I still would really like to see him playable.
Yeah, he's like among the possible assist trophies to get upgraded.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but I think it's tough because there's like Midna and him. Like there's other, like all those secondary Zelda characters. For whatever reason, Sakurai never dipped into there. I would have much rather. I hate to be Mr. Anti-Fire Emblem, but I would much rather have the Zelda series have gotten like Midna and Skull Kid and like Impa or whatever, just from each game series or something. Then Fire Emblem just get the latest character. It'd be way better than Zelda had.
So what are like the top few Zelda characters you'd like to see playable?
I don't have a list.
So many.
I mean, the ones I listed: Midna, Skull Kid, Impa would be cool. Do the King plus King of Red Lion somehow like mix into a character or something. I could come up with so many.
Well, he was in Hyrule Warriors.
Yes, I know.
Even Link Bowl.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, Hyrule Warriors pretty much proved, you could do a lot of Zelda characters.
The only problem with Hyrule Warriors being mixed with Smash is the fact that it's supposedly non-canon, and it's also probably I don't know how the ownership works, but it's probably partly owned by Koei Tecmo in a similar vein that Geno is partly owned by Square because they made the game.
Koei Tecmo worked on, I don't know about Linkle herself, but they worked on like Three Houses and stuff. So I think Nintendo has a pretty good relationship with Koei Tecmo. Right. They could probably get, if they wanted a character from Hyrule Warriors.
I don't know why they don't do alternate costumes, because there's plenty of awesome ones. And even, like, they have the Twilight Princess Ganondorf, and they have the, like, coolest Ganondorf from Hyrule Warriors. Like, they're getting a costume pack.
It's very unfortunate we haven't gotten costumes. We've talked about this before, I think. Yes. But, yeah, I mean, getting costume DLC the same way we get, like, Mii costumes as DLC, but actual costumes for character would be something I think everybody would be cool with, everybody wants. And I don't know that much about modding and programming, but considering all the Project M mods I've seen and like just other things that have happened for Smash, how many times I've seen people make costumes for characters, I feel like it can't be that difficult. If modders are able to do it, they should be able to give us costume DLC, and I'd be all about it.
I also wouldn't mind this one of the ones that it was hard to narrow down to 6, because one of the other characters I really want to see, and I would have swapped out Skull Kid for, is a Monster Hunter. So
Monster Hunter would have been
8 slots to have completely different looking Monster Hunters. You can have like 4 female and 4 male. I don't know if they would do that, but you can even reuse the body type and change. Like, you can have a male body and a female body, and then you could change if there's any skin color showing. You could just keep the same body and like alter some of the skin color and just put different monster armors on them.
Like actual armor on them. I'm Monster Hunter. It's really unfortunate. I mean, I love that we have like Rathalos and that Monster Hunter's in Smash is cool, but man, I really wish a Monster Hunter character would be awesome to get. And again, I hate to be Mr. Anti-Fire Emblem, but man, Byleth's moveset would have been perfect for a Monster Hunter character. Yeah. And I think everybody would have been happier.
Min shows us that we can swap weapons.
Yep.
At least like 1 or 2 things, and Byleth shows us that we can use multiple weapons. So I can see a mix because there's so many weapons. So like there's I think a heavy bow and a light bow, like heavy bow gun, light bow gun, and I think like bow and arrows in Monster Hunter. I can see like one special or one attack being used for one of those, and then like you can cycle through those if you want to change it to like a heavy bow gun, light bow gun, or bow and arrow, and then maybe like somehow with the other weapons too. Like I don't know how so like you can switch between heavy sword and light sword. I just don't know how you would separate the different weapon swaps.
Right.
But kind of the idea is you can swap sets. So like you can have a heavy set and a light set,
That would probably make more sense, because I feel like in the code, if you were to like, okay, it's this bow is selected and this sword selected and this it would be, I think, maybe too much going on in the background of the memory, switching. But if it was just,
I can see like a mix of like Min and Byleth where they have maybe like 3 sets, kind of like how Min has 3 weapons for one arm. Like a Monster Hunter can have 3 sets of weapons where the moves are like use the same kind of weapon, and when you swap to a new set, it uses a different version of the same kind of weapon. So like one set can have like a heavy bowgun and a heavy sword, whereas another set might use a light bowgun and the long sword, and then like you swap it one more time and it becomes the bow and arrow and I don't know, maybe like the axe or the dual blade or something, like
yeah.
And some of those can be used in like a grab animation or like an aerial attack, so like they don't have to all be set to specials. So like some of them won't swap out, some of them will be stuck to certain moves, so I think they can, if they mix around the idea of different weapon sets and using other weapons in other moves like aerials and like grabs, they can use all the weapons.
Yeah, there's definitely a cool Monster Hunter moveset like to be tapped into if they bother to do it.
Even like for a taunt, like if they have like a leftover weapon, they can use you can use it in the taunt like the horn, like just pull out the horn and just be like, and and maybe like a palico will like make a dance, and or if you can actually use the weapon to like power yourself up or something, but I can see them actually making a Monster Hunter and doing it justice. I mean, if I think of it, come on, Sakurai.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable. Again, I feel like Byleth's moveset was like pretty close to what I would have wanted. So,
I say all the weapons because I think, at least back in the day, I heard somewhere or someone say that like a Monster Hunter couldn't be used in maybe it was Brawl or maybe it was the previous Smash game, but like I think it was like Capcom said they didn't want a Monster Hunter
they wanted the monsters
game
series, I think is what I
I think what I was going to say was when it comes to a hunter, they didn't want to like pick one specific weapon to use. And then when we saw Monster Hunter in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they used a whole bunch of weapons. So I think that if the Monster Hunter fighter uses a whole bunch of weapons, then it would be more acceptable to them.
Right. Yeah, it would represent the series better.
Yeah. And you have Rathalos, so obviously that's the final boss in their classic mode.
Right, so they are part of Smash. It's kind of like people having a spirit, or Shantae having a spirit, like they're in Smash.
Right.
In Smash.
And the level. We have, and they can give us that as the level, like that desert area that the Rathalos was in.
Yeah.
They can retool that
stage kind of already.
Yeah. I think it was one of the first areas in one of the Monster Hunter games. I don't remember which one. Maybe like the Ancient Steps from 4 Ultimate or something else. I don't know. I forget what it was. I just remember it being sort of like a desert area. I'm assuming that it was from one of the Monster Hunter games, in which case they could just retool it. Like,
I'm
sense
sure
to me.
Like take that background and make like an actual stage out of it or something, since that's already in the game.
And have some monsters in the background would be awesome too.
And it feels like, I mean, because we have that stage, it feels like at some point they were considering, the idea of making that a stage, obviously, because they started working on it.
Which is where our extra characters that turned into second fighter packs comes in. Maybe they're because I don't think we have any Monster Hunter spirits outside of Rathalos, right?
No, Rathalos is the only one. And I think he's the only Monster Hunter. There might be some spirits. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I think he might be the only one, actually.
Yeah. So there's a chance to have a ton more.
Yeah. They could do a whole like a spirit event or whatever, a spirit board.
Yeah. So man, it's exciting. The future of Smash speculation is still
always
strong.
Always.
I worry for the day when it stops, especially because it means the only new Smash news will be a new Smash game, and I worry about losing so much stuff.
Yeah, I don't even like speculating on a new Smash game because I find it probably going to be disappointing, to be honest. So.
I was telling a friend of mine, no matter what other Smash game we get, we're probably going to lose so much content that I don't think I'm ever going to stop playing Smash Ultimate.
Yeah,
like I'll probably play Ultimate and whatever the new Smash game is. I'll probably like jump back and forth. Just like how people were jumping between Melee and Brawl, or Melee and 4. You know?
Yeah, I feel like Ultimate, like, honestly, I don't know how excited I could get out of a future Smash game. I think it's going to have to be very different. I don't like even talking about it, honestly.
I don't want a Smash game, you know? Unless they port this one.
Right.
Well, I don't think the Switch is going anywhere anytime soon. So if we were going to get a Smash game, it might be like in 10 years.
Exactly. It's probably very, very years from now. Speculation.
I can say one of my expectations for Fighter Pass 2 is that we aren't going to get any old characters that have nothing going on for them now. Unless they were highly demanded, like Geno, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying with the like Isaac and Chibi Robo in Advance, where like I feel like at a certain point it's like, yeah, they're not going to give it to us. It's just been too long. Geno has the bonus of just, I don't know, the fandom is ridiculous with Geno, and there's a certain order of events that happened with, like, we got Cloud as DLC in Smash 4 with the Geno Mii costume, and then supposedly Cloud was the toughest one to negotiate back to get in the base game, and now we've gotten one other Square DLC in Dragon Quest. So like, it's been this weird ride to try to kind of get to Geno. So he sort of fits, but I feel like most of the other old wants are probably.
I just can't understand how any character can be difficult to get into Smash, especially now. Like,
I'm shocked if a company doesn't want it.
What?
I'm shocked if a company doesn't want their character in Smash.
I'm almost convinced that, like, getting your character in Smash means more money to the company.
Right. Especially with the
more interested in the game, and
right. So with the Final Fantasy VII remaster coming out, you'd think they'd want Cloud like pushed anywhere they could. So
exactly, like. Yeah. You know, like, oh, people on Nintendo console, we want them to come over to PlayStation, so let's give them Cloud because, you know, they'll be interested in using this character in his game. Like, I don't want to call them stupid, you know, I don't want to call anyone stupid, but, like, the intelligence of not wanting your character in Smash is very questionable.
Yeah, I can't understand if it was a company and would say that. I think there's probably very few and far between that have.
Unless they think they're, like, too good for the game or something? Or do they not see how big of
I doubt it's that. It's probably
are?
Yeah, I doubt it's that they think they're too good. It's probably just a weird negotiation thing about rights and money value of the character versus value of Smash versus, like, whatever. It's just weird.
Maybe because multiple people somehow own the rights to Cloud. Like, I think... Like,
Square stuff is supposed to be always messy.
What?
The Square stuff is supposedly always messy with the rights because, like, the composers versus the, like, character designers versus Square itself, like, I think they all, like, own rights to the thing.
Yeah, I think Tetsuya Nomura has some ownership of Cloud because he designed him, and then Square Enix has ownership of him because they made the game, and at least for the music, the composer has some owning it, so there probably is a bigger expense. Even if Square wanted the characters in, it could be like Nintendo, who's like, we don't want to pay that much to all these different people. But, you know, like, I don't know who owns, like, I don't know who the composer is for, like, the Mario RPG songs. Does somebody own that outside of
Yoko? She works on Smash, actually, so she's actually a part of Smash already.
Okay. Yoko Shimomura?
Yes, yeah, that's her. Yep.
Does she work on Kingdom Hearts?
Yep.
Okay. So, anything you want to end off on? I
think we pretty much covered everything that I want to talk about in this video anyway.
Cool. Then all the links will be in the description below to both PapaGenos' stuff and mine. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So until next time, everybody, take care. Bye-bye and stay safe.
Later, everybody.
can I have this? I already bought it, you know. I just want to have.